Blake Lively has been no stranger to media attention over the years, but in recent months her name has been tied to a legal battle that has drawn the eyes of both fans and critics around the world. This case has not only captured public interest, but has also sparked conversations about the power of celebrity influence, the nature of legal disputes, and the role of the court system in high-profile cases. To understand the significance of the latest development, we must first look back at the chain of events that brought Blake Lively to this crucial moment in her fight for justice. It all began when tensions between Blake and her legal opponent started to escalate. There were accusations exchanged through public statements and behind closed doors. In legal filings, the opposition sought to challenge Blake with a deposition that could potentially place her in a difficult position. A deposition, in legal terms, is a formal statement given under oath outside of the courtroom, but with the same weight as court testimony. It can be used to gather evidence and can often be a turning point in a case. For Blake, this deposition was seen as a tactic by the opposition to corner her into giving statements that might be used against her later in the trial. For weeks, there was speculation across entertainment news outlets and social media platforms about what might come out during the deposition. Some reporters claimed it could reveal details that would alter the public perception of Blake Lively. Others argued that it was nothing more than a fishing expedition by the opposing legal team to find weaknesses in her defense. Either way, the pressure was mounting, and the narrative surrounding the case was shifting by the day. Blake's legal team remained publicly confident, but those close to the situation knew the stakes were high. A deposition can open the door to scrutiny from every angle, and in a case with this much publicity, even the smallest detail could be magnified in the headlines. This is why the opposition was pushing so hard for it, and why Blake's team was equally determined to have it removed from the proceedings. Behind the scenes, legal motions were filed, arguments were prepared, and each side was ready to fight fiercely for their position. The courtroom became the central stage in a drama that was playing out not just for the judge and lawyers, but for the entire world watching. Online fans took to social media to share their support for Blake, while critics questioned whether she was trying to avoid answering difficult questions. The case had now become not only a legal matter, but also a battle for public opinion. When the date finally arrived for the judge to hear arguments about the deposition, both legal teams came armed with evidence and statements. The courtroom was tense as each side presented their case. The opposition argued that the deposition was necessary for the pursuit of truth and fairness. They claimed it was their right to question Blake under oath and obtain answers that could clarify key points in the dispute. Blake's lawyers countered with the argument that the deposition was unnecessary, overly invasive, and designed more to embarrass and harass than to uncover relevant facts. The judge listened carefully, weighing the merits of each argument. The room was silent as both sides awaited the ruling. The air in the courtroom was heavy with anticipation as the judge prepared to deliver the decision. All eyes were fixed on the bench as the judge leaned forward and began to speak. The ruling was clear, decisive, and left no room for misinterpretation. The deposition was to be removed from the proceedings entirely. The judge went further than simply granting Blake Lively's motion and issued pointed remarks aimed directly at the opposition. In measured words, the judge expressed concern over the way the deposition request had been handled. The tone was firm, yet professional, making it clear that the court would not tolerate tactics that appeared to be more about undermining a party's reputation than about seeking truth. The judge noted that while depositions are a legitimate part of legal discovery, they must be requested and conducted in a manner consistent with fairness and respect. The implication was unmistakable. The opposition had overstepped, and in doing so had risked turning the proceedings into a spectacle rather than a search for justice. For Blake Lively and her team, this was a monumental win. The removal of the deposition meant that she would not be subjected to hours of questioning that could have been used to create damaging soundbites or misleading headlines. It also sent a strong signal that the court was aware of and willing to push back against aggressive strategies that stray into personal or sensational territory. As soon as the ruling was announced, whispers rippled through the courtroom. Members of the media who had been present quickly began typing their reports, ready to push breaking news alerts to eager audiences outside. Within minutes, entertainment news sites and social media platforms lit up with headlines proclaiming Blake Lively's victory. Hashtags supporting Blake began trending, with thousands of fans posting messages of congratulations and relief. Many expressed that this was Not just a win for Blake, but a win for anyone who has ever faced public and legal pressure at the same time the opposition, on the other hand, appeared visibly frustrated. They had invested significant time and effort into pushing for the deposition, and now not only had they lost, but they had also been publicly admonished by the judge. Their representatives declined to give extensive comments to the press, instead offering only short statements that they respected the court's decision but disagreed. With it back at Blake's legal camp, there was a sense of celebration tempered by the knowledge that the overall legal battle was far from over. Lawyers and advisors reminded each other that while this was an important step forward, many challenges still lay ahead. But in that moment, there was no denying that the momentum had shifted. Blake had scored a decisive point in a match that was being watched around the world. Fans on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok began sharing clips of Blake from past interviews highlighting her grace and composure. Many noted that she had remained largely silent in the public sphere while the legal battle unfolded, choosing instead to let her legal team speak on her behalf. This restraint was now paying off as public perception tilted more favorably in her direction. News outlets invited legal analysts to weigh in on the ruling. Several experts noted that while it is not unusual for depositions to be challenged, it is less common for a judge to remove one entirely, and to do so while calling out the motivations of the party requesting it. This added weight to the win and reinforced the idea that the court had recognized something improper in the way the deposition had been pursued. By the end of the day, Blake's name dominated entertainment news cycles. Public reaction ranged from full support to cautious optimism, with some commentators warning that the opposition might try to find new angles to pressure her. However, for Blake and her supporters, the day belonged to them. It was a reminder that in legal battles, just as in life, momentum can change in an instant, and when it does, it can alter the trajectory of everything that follows. The news of Blake Lively's legal win traveled at lightning speed. The moment the ruling was confirmed, it became the centerpiece of countless conversations online and offline. Fans who had been following the case closely felt an instant sense of vindication. They flooded social media with messages of support for Blake using hashtags that quickly began trending across multiple platforms. Support for her poured in from celebrities, influencers, and everyday followers alike, each sharing their own take on the significance of the ruling. Entertainment reporters scrambled to update their articles and produce video segments for television and online channels. Some networks ran breaking news banners, while others scheduled entire discussion panels dedicated to dissecting the details of the case. Headlines framed the story in ways that emphasized the dramatic reversal for the opposition and the strength of Blake's position. Words like victory, triumph, and turning point became common in the coverage, giving the public a sense that this was more than just a procedural win in court. On Twitter, fans crafted celebratory memes using photos of Blake from red carpet events and film premieres. Some of these posts highlighted her confidence and style as a way of symbolizing her resilience. Others simply used her smiling images paired with the words "she won" or "justice served." Instagram stories and TikTok clips followed a similar pattern, often combining snippets from Blake's past interviews with captions referencing the legal victory. These visual messages allowed fans to share their excitement in ways that were instantly engaging and widely shareable. The media reaction, however, was not entirely uniform. While many outlets sided with the narrative of Blake's triumph, some commentators raised questions about what the removal of the deposition might mean for the rest of the case. Certain analysts speculated that the opposition would use this loss to rally their base of supporters, framing themselves as being unfairly restricted by the court. Others wondered if this victory might make Blake's team overconfident, or if it might encourage the opposition to pursue even more aggressive tactics in other areas of the case. Legal experts featured on entertainment and news channels broke down the ruling in simple terms for audiences unfamiliar with legal processes. They explained that removing a deposition is not common, and when it happens, it usually signals that the judge believes there is a problem either with the scope of the questioning or with the intent behind it. This helped the public understand why the judge's criticism of the opposition carried so much weight. It was not just a rejection of a request, but an indication that the court was paying close attention to fairness and integrity in the proceedings. In the days following the decision, the story maintained a steady presence in the news cycle. Each time a new celebrity or high-profile figure posted support for Blake, it reignited conversation and brought the topic back into the spotlight. Blake herself did not post lengthy statements. Instead, she shared a brief message thanking her supporters and expressing gratitude for the faith placed in the justice system. This minimal but heartfelt communication was praised by fans as a sign of class and composure. The public reaction also revealed something about the way celebrity legal battles are perceived in the modern era. In the past, such disputes might have played out behind closed doors with only limited reporting. Today, however, social media ensures that every development is instantly amplified. The audience becomes an active participant, not just a spectator. They post reactions, debate the details,